ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Drive. It's a Friday afternoon getaway time. Your host today, as it have been Monday and Wednesday, Dave Walsh, former Young Thundering Herd quarterback. The man in charge normally, Paul Swann, had the audacity to take off this week, but I couldn't blame him. The Sportsman of the Year doing this kind of work. He needed a break, so he gave me the wheel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Billy did Tuesday, Thursday. Mr. Gabriel Sellers across the window doing it. And on to my left, the illustrious writer from the Herald-Dispatch, Mr. Tim Stevens. We go way back. He's up to his neck right now in high school football, I understand.
I am indeed. It's fun, though. It's busy, but it's a good busy.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. We did it for a long time.
We did.
Long time. Right now, you're in the middle of the football tab.
Right.
So you've been in a little bit everywhere the last few days. And I think you told me the other day you were over at Ironton, Fairland. Mm-hmm. Be right now, 3 storylines. Ironton's got Reed Carrico, Sims Valley, White Milam.
Mm-hmm. Spring Valley, right?
Spring Valley, White Milam,
right.
And the kid at Huntington High starts with a B.
Brockton Blair.
They seem to be, but
right.
You were in Ironton the other day. Can you believe Reed Carrico, a junior? His recruiting list line is like, my gosh.
Oh,
and the first 2 on the list, Clemson, Alabama.
Yeah, the 2 teams that played for the national championship. It's he was telling me the other day that he just it's fun, but he just kind of has to put it aside right now. He says, I'm not a Buckeye, I'm not a Crimson Tide, I'm a Fighting Tiger right now, and that's how he's kind of approaching it. But I mean, everybody wants him. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Clemson. You name the superpower, they've offered him.
I think he's on page 2 right now of and this is not Little Sisters of the Poor.
No,
these are the big boys.
They are. These are the major of the majors. They really are. I mean, these are teams that have multiple national championship trophies in their trophy case. Yes, they have.
Mr. Saban's got a lot of rings, and he thinks this guy can help him get another one if he's around long enough.
He thinks so. Carrico, he's 6'3" and 225 pounds inside linebacker, and he's very highly coveted. He had a good visit to Clemson the other day. Ohio State, a lot of people think is the favorite, but Clemson's in the running strong too. And who knows who he'll choose? He's got a long time between now and his senior year.
I would think right now, first and foremost, his attention is that team up the road, 52, the rivalry. Wheelersburg.
Yes.
They have not had much luck against Wheelersburg of late.
Right.
Last year was the first time they didn't get a running clock in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
One of the polls that you reported on, Ironton is ranked ahead of Wheelersburg.
Right.
I'm sure that's on the locker room.
No doubt.
In Wheelersburg.
No doubt.
What about that game? I said if there's a bigger game in the state of Ohio in first week than that one, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know where it is either. It's number 5 against number 10, and Wheelersburg is just 2 years off a state championship. But they're right there, just a few miles apart. That could be a great game. I mean, Micaiah Matthews from Wheelersburg is a terrific wide receiver. Just all-around player. You got Reed Carrico. You have Gage Salyers from Ironton, who's a Wheelersburg transfer, who's committed to Youngstown State. There's a lot of talent in that football game right there.
Well, I remember the years you've covered it and I've covered it. One of the interesting sidelights to that is the 50-50 jackpot. The largest one I have ever seen, 50-50, was at Ironton one year against Wheelersburg. No, it was at Wheelersburg.
Mm-hmm.
$1,124. I was in the press box. The guy whistles over to the PA. I have the number, and let me call it. He says, "What's the pot?" He says, $1,124. To which I looked at him and said, "Do what?" It was, and they called the number out. Thank God the lady sitting about halfway down in front of this press box won it.
Wow.
Was a Wheelersburg fan. If it had been an Ironton person, they wouldn't have got out of there alive. They would not have got there alive. And then before that, the record was 900 plus at an Ironton game.
Wow.
Against them. So
Wow.
Because we go to some of these other games, 50-50s, a couple $100 less than that, and we're going, I mean, you're getting another tax bracket.
No,
that just shows you the interest level in that game.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Tank Stadium will be packed. I mean, they had 500 come out at midnight the other night just to watch them practice. So you can imagine when Wheelersburg rolls in and that game's actually played, Tanks will have 10,000 plus there.
Trayvon took over has made quite an impression in year number 2. Plus, he's AD now.
Yeah, so he's AD. We were talking about that the other day, and he's talking about trying to get a football team ready, and you get to order volleyballs and schedule baseball games and such. It's an interesting job, but he's doing well down there. I tell you, he's really excited about his team, and there's a lot of pressure on that ball club.
Right.
It's a really tough schedule. You have Wheelersburg, Ashland, Russell are all very good, and the OVC guy is the defending champion, and you got your academy.
Right.
Portsmouth has Taylor and Parker. Portsmouth beat Ironton last year. The expectations have been set down there for 10-0 in a state, and then a long playoff run.
Oh, yeah, because if we joked about the thread, the Ironton Wheelersburg thread on South Season and Higher Preps, it's like 20-some now. And anywhere from 48-0, 60-0 to the other way around. They pull no punches on that website. I mean, unbelievable.
I'd like to get a bet down with a few of those folks. Yeah, give me either team in 60, I'll take it.
I say, no problem at all like that. I mean, this is like when they finish the game this year, they'll start the thread for next year.
No doubt.
It's almost like Ohio State, Michigan. They don't waste time.
Yeah,
the countdown is on.
It's an incredible rivalry. It really is. It's come up in the last 10, 15 years.
Well, we used to joke. US 52, Ironton has 2 exits. Wheelersburg has 2 exits. That's where it ended here of late.
Yeah,
it might be turning back the other way because Wheelersburg's been quite a run, but Ironton's made a move.
Ironton has made a move. They're a better football team this year, and we'll see. This game's going to really determine a lot about the confidence that those guys have in this season.
Yeah,
they need to beat Wheelersburg. If Wheelersburg beats them, then. Well, you know how fans are. Fans are expecting 10-0, and you get out of the gate 0-1. They get quite fickle, and that's fans anywhere.
Well, you talk about Wheelersburg. Their schedule this year, 2 interesting opponents: Ashland and Spring Valley.
Yes, those are powerhouse
That's gonna be very
opponents
interesting.
too. That is, yeah. Wheelersburg's schedule is rugged. It really is. And it's usually strong. They usually play somebody out of Columbus that's pretty good, and along with Ironton, and Portsmouth West is a playoff team. But
they're not playing them now.
No, they don't play them now. Instead, you get Ashland and a couple of other teams there. It's going to be Spring Valley's always good. That's going to be fun.
Now we got Carico Sayers, across the river, Spring Valley, runner up to Martinsburg the last 3 years. It's like asking us what can we do differently. So I always says win one more game, which would be the one. They've been pumping out some linemen down there. They got them here, there, and yonder. Now Wyatt Milam. Believe it or not, Wayne to Spring Valley, not the other way around, but he is a load. Plus, he's a pretty good baseball pitcher.
Yes, he is.
6'7" left-hander, bringing some heat, baby.
He is.
But, I mean, football-wise, I want to run behind him.
Oh, absolutely. You run behind him. His first college offer ever was a baseball offer from Marshall. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's when he was still at Wayne. And now he has buku football offers from almost the same schools that Reed Carrico has. A lot of football offers there. He's a big kid. He's smart. He's tough. And he's very well coached. Brent Terry's the offensive line coach out there. Just does a great job with the guys he has.
Yeah, and they lost a lot. Malashevich is gone, and big-time players are gone. But yet with Wyatt Milam, whoever's in the backfield, I think, well, wherever he is, and I'm running behind him, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to increase my insurance policies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not hard to call plays for that team. Nate Ellis handed off to whoever the running back happens to be at the time and run behind Milam. So, and they have a couple of other kids who are youngsters who look pretty good too. So they're going to be good again.
Now up on the hill, Huntington High. How about Mr. Blair? He's getting a lot of attention.
Good linebacker. He was the Herald Dispatch Defensive Player of the Year last year as a junior in the Tri-State. That says something.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams.
A lot of teams.
And they're running.
A lot of teams. Yeah, Marshall is in the running. Virginia Tech has shown some interest in him. He's a good football player. Tough. He's fast. He penetrates into the backfield really well. And Brockton Blair and Reed Carrico, you might have two big-time linebackers here just in this Tri-State area. That's going to be fun to watch.
They don't go to Belfry this year. Poor Grant will have to sit there at 4 o'clock in the morning like the last couple of years.
Trying to send a story from Taco Bell at 4 a.m.
I think the big game this year with them will be George Washington after what happened on 7-on-7. They cleared house. Spring Valley, them, and George Washington, all of them, policemen said, get out of here. It just got ugly, and now I'm thinking circle those dates on the calendar when they come to town.
Right.
They got to play 4 quarters, not just 7-on-7 for a half.
Yes, that's going to, it's still going to be hot that time of the season too. Temperature might already be a bit frayed, and then you add the heat into it, and oh gosh, that could be we might have a football game break out at the fight. So we'll see.
You know what's funny? We're talking 2 weeks from today. We start, right?
2 weeks from today.
Is it 2 or 3?
2.
2 weeks from today.
2.
We'll get to I remember getting Ironton or Wheelersburg at 5:30 for 7:30 kickoff to get a place to park.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how crazy it would get.
It is. I remember when Ironton played Cape, Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education. It's
How
not
deep
there
was
anymore.
that line that night along the fence?
There were more than 10,000 people there. There was pushing 11,000, and that's exactly how that was. And this Wheelersburg game, it'll be like that. And that'll be that was an amazing night. You know, Earl Bruce flies in a helicopter, and Carlos Snow plays for Cape, and Ironton beats them 21-14 after trailing 14-0. So that was a wild atmosphere.
Wasted a trip.
Yeah, So he comes in and he flies in a helicopter to watch Carlos Snow and Vinnie Clark, and Bobby Bryce is running wild for Ironton. And he's like, "Who is this kid?" You know,
That's
so
right.
that was a fun night.
Yeah. Well, high school football will be fun. A couple weeks out. We'll be getting ready to play. Kentucky might be starting tonight. I don't know. I mean, they're a little crazy over there. We're going to take our first break right now, 5:17. Gabriel, wake up. The first break, we'll be back. We're going to talk about some NFL. A couple Marshall guys last night. Tyree Brady, we talked about, and all of a sudden, former kicker Corey Bedvick has got the NFL a buzz today. We'll talk about that when we get back.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive. ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Drive. Friday afternoon, we're in the studio, 94.1 FM, 9:30 AM on the dial. Miller Lite Talk Line, brought to you Miller Lite Beer, 96 calories, great taste. Best combination I can think of. Not bad. And if you want to be a guest, 877-420-8255 is the number to call. So we've got some high school out of the way now. NFL-wise, I led into Tyree Brady getting some good ink the other day in Jacksonville, making an impression. Mm-hmm. Ton of games last night, and I think the talk of the NFL right now is a Marshall graduate, but it's not Tyree Brady, it's Corey Bedvick. Can you believe what he did last night?
Wow.
Talk about it, as I wrote, talk about an audition, because the Colts Ravens happen to have the best kicker in the NFL right now.
They might have the two best kickers in the NFL right now.
quite an effort by Mr. Bedvick last night.
Yes, it was. 4 field goals, 2 extra points, and a 55-yard
average for 2 punts.
55-yard average on 2 punts, and the field goals, 2 of them were chip shots, but the other 2 were lengthy.
55-45.
Right, 55-45, and he was accurate. And I'm sure the Chicago Bears and New York Jets and some other team, Cardinals, probably Arizona Cardinals, have been on the phone today, because that's a heck of a performance right there.
I looked it up, and it's like every NFL guy is writing about this guy, calling it, if nothing else, one of the greatest auditions you could make is like 4 extra points, field goals, and a punter. You don't need 2 guys. You got one guy doing it, and it's nothing we weren't used to seeing here in Huntington when he played at Marshall. Kickoffs, they never ran one back. Mm-hmm. He had some punts that just like they're not coming down. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then last year he was set, and then I remember he got assaulted.
Right.
I think after a preseason game, got roughed up pretty bad. He had to sit the year out.
Right.
So this is his first time back in a year plus, and quite a debut.
Well, apparently
I'll be checking the wire to see who's going to. Yeah, didn't hurt his leg. I'm be interested to see who moves on him.
I will too.
And how soon.
And they're not going to get him just on a waiver claim either, most likely. That's got trade written all over it. Baltimore should expect something back for him, because that's a tremendous performance.
I mean, you think you used to be you crossed the 50. With him, you crossed the 40. I mean, we saw it. I mean, we know his range.
Right.
And the big thing like that is you get picked, whether it's a free agent, whatever. All you want's a chance. Mm-hmm. He's got the chance, and right now he has made the most of it.
He has.
And there's 2 sets of people watching in the NFL with their scouts and whatever like that, dude. The phones, I'm sure, as you mentioned, were busy today.
Oh, I have no doubt. He made himself some money last night. He absolutely made himself some money last night.
A couple extra commas and zeros in there.
Yes, he did. That was the best game he ever had, and it's a preseason game that doesn't count.
And what made you disappointing to a little bit was they're playing Jacksonville. Tyree Brady, on Monday, I saw a story on the Jacksonville website about the impressions he's making. Last night, no catches, and only got targeted twice. And the offense only had 112 total yards. So a wash there, and got to get to the next one. So nobody made an impression last night.
Right. He didn't hurt himself, but he didn't help himself either, because nobody else did. So, nobody in that game locked up a spot on that team, not after that performance.
Now, some other Marshall guys are out there, but Paul and I have talked about this a little bit. I have a grandson and family live just south of Cleveland. Can you believe the buzz? Is there a bigger buzz in the NFL right now than the Browns?
No, and that's again another one that's going to be hard to live up to, because if they don't,
I mean, right now they got them in the Super Bowl. Some of these
idiot
people do, and I'm going like one guy mentioned. I think Pittsburgh's still in the division.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. It's always a tussle with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Even the rivalry there in Ohio. They don't. Yeah, Cleveland has improved, but you got to show me on the field before we give you the Super Bowl trophy here. And a little team in New England probably will have a say-so in it. And some of those folks, but Cleveland, the expectations are sky high, and you start season 1 and 4 and see what happens.
I know. The NFL, we're going to keep our eyes on Mr. Bedvick, but right about now we're going to turn the attention football-wise to the college game. Mm-hmm. A few blocks down the road to our left, Marshall, getting through a practice a day, a little Big Green get-together once it's all over. But there's a lot of talk about the Marshall Thundering Herd football team this year. Picked to win the East. Mm-hmm. North Texas picked to win the West. Depending on how things work out, if it plays out, there could be a championship game here. Mm-hmm. Fair?
Yeah.
For Marshall to be picked?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good team. A lot back. Some work to do still, obviously, but yeah, Marshall and FIU should battle for the East title, and I think you've got to give that edge to Marshall right now. North Texas is an obvious pick in the West, and that could be a heck of a good championship game. But yeah, with what Marshall returns, the coaching experience that they have there's no reason that they can't win the East. Barring injuries and such. You always have the asterisk on predictions, but yeah, there's no reason that football team can't have a terrific season. Now, the Boise game, though, is the non-conference one, and that's the big one.
Yes. On the turf you have seen.
That's right. I have been there 1994.
It is blue, right?
It is. Oh, gosh, it's blue. Or then TV doesn't do it justice how blue that turf is, the Smurf turf. But Marshall goes out there and wins. They have a chance to run the table. They have a chance for that BCS bowl berth and to make a lot of money. So a non-conference game really is a bigger key for their season than their in-conference games, because you win Conference USA, you're going to go to one of these so-so bowls. To be honest with you,
unfortunately, like basketball, Marshall is probably not going to be playing for national championship.
Right.
They're not going to have the chance.
Right.
No matter what they do. We're going to talk more about them, but first, I found this interesting the other day because we have the team up north. Mm-hmm. New coach situation. Mm-hmm. Sporting News came out with one ranking college football 16 worst teams. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, Conference USA's got a lock on this. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit bigger than that. Mm-hmm. A little bit higher up. So they start with Duke at 16, California 15, Vanderbilt 14, Arkansas 13, North Carolina 12. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking there, and then I go down here, and I went, 11, Ole Miss, number 10, West Virginia.
Ooh.
And I went, whoa.
That won't sit well.
Well, this is 247 Sports' take on it. Mm-hmm. This will be a tough season to stomach for West Virginia fans who are accustomed to winning under Dana, who is now at Houston. Mm-hmm. Nothing against Neil Brown, who make the Mountaineers a contender soon, but there's too many questions on both sides of the ball to expect much of this team in year one under a new regime. Mm-hmm. Like most coaches, Holgorsen got out when he felt talent was dipping below the threshold needed to win in the Big 12 and jumped at Houston. Brown hit double-digit wins 3 years at Troy, so he knows something about doing more with less. So what do you think about that?
Fair evaluation.
I mean, people in Morgantown read that, they're ready to go burn Sporting News down.
Well, they have some experience of burning things up there anyway.
Dana had it, and he left.
He did.
And right now, some question marks, one at quarterback. And one person you see all the time right now, he played defensive end, Reese Donahue.
Right.
He's everywhere. Spokesman. He took him to the media day in Dallas. Reese Donahue is a big figure.
He is.
On his football team.
Midland graduate there, and a very well-spoken young man, nice, polite, and a heck of a good football player. He's quick. He's set for a big year at defensive end. But I don't think WVU has enough overall. Dana wouldn't have left if they were going. He thought they were going to win 10 games.
Yeah.
And
then you're in the Big 12, and they haven't had much luck against Oklahoma.
Right.
A couple other teams. I mean, it's a lot different now.
It is. It is a lot different. And
I mean, like once again last year, they were primed. 2 or 3 weeks to go, they went out. They go Oklahoma State beats them, Oklahoma beats them, and they wind up playing in the pinstripe or something. So, I mean, how quickly it went downhill.
It did. And, a lot of question marks at wide receiver and here and there. Although Billy Malashevich dropping back in time there. Grayson Malashevich is having a great camp up there early. He might be a true freshman, the kid from Spring Valley who gets a little bit of playing time there. That could be interesting. I hope he does. He's a good kid.
Well, we're going to run down that list. Georgia Tech was 8. Illinois 7. They've had a long, rough time at the Big Ten. Illinois.
Yes, they have.
Maryland, formerly ACC in the Big 12. As one guy wrote the other day, they get nice paychecks, but that's about where it ends on the football field.
Tough time for the Turtles. Huh?
5, Colorado. A little interesting out there. We have number 4, Louisville. I think 2 years ago the Heisman Trophy winner was in Huntington playing, and now they're number 4 worst team in football according to this rating.
Yeah, Marshall
Quite
played
a fall there.
Marshall played him 1 year too early.
Number 3, Kansas.
Poor old Kansas. Man, I tell you.
Les Miles.
Les. Les is a great coach, but boy, is Kansas a tough place to win without cheating. And
then you have Rutgers at number 2, another former conference elsewhere, and it went to the Big Ten, getting nice paychecks, but lining up against Michigan and those people, Ohio State, and number 1, Oregon State.
Oregon State, another school that has just struggled and struggled and struggled. Great baseball school, though. Hey, that's a heck of a baseball program. Football, second fiddle to the Ducks in that state.
Their college football team in Oregon is pretty good, but the rival across the state, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon State is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, what would it be without talking about rankings?
Yeah, let's have
SI
some
poll, AP poll. I have seen bowl projections out already. Believe it or not, one bowl projection had the first responder bowl, Marshall to play West Virginia. And I went, oh my. They're not going to schedule the game. It's going to take somebody like that to do it. Or like the NCAA happened to say, well, let's put Marshall and WU out in California. If they both win, they'll play each other. I'm sure they won't mind.
And then I don't know if WVU would play, unless they just don't have any choice at another bowl, then I'd be surprised if they would accept that.
Now, when we come back after this break, we'll talk about the college football rankings, CBS preseason poll, and they ranked all 130 teams.
Ooh.
You know who's at the top, but it's interesting to see how the area teams we know and Conference USA, how they are thought of. So after this break, we'll come back and talk a little college football. On the drive, Dave Walsh, former Young Thundering Herd quarterback, Tim Stevens, illustrious writer from the Herald-Dispatch. We'll be back to talk about those functions once we get done with Mr. Sellards on this break. Take it away, Gabriel.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Drive. Friday afternoon, sunshine, blue sky outside. Miller Lite helping you out here today. 96 calories, great taste. As I said earlier, a great combination. If you want to be a guest on the show today, 877-420-8255. So my guest in the studio today, Tim Stevens, esteemed writer from the Herald-Dispatch, a great friend. We've talked some high school football, some NFL, Marshall guys involved, both areas. One's recruiting, one's left here and done pretty well, as we saw last night. College football, 16 worst teams in college football, and West Virginia checked in mid-pack, and I went, whoa, that's not going to set well in Morgantown. Then all the polls are out, AP, College USA Today, everybody. CBS Sports,
right,
1 through 130. Now, top 5, it's just like everybody else. Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and the Buckeyes. And if you thin this out, come the end of January, probably two of those 5 will be suiting up for a national championship. That's just the way it probably plays out. After that, you had on down LSU 6, Michigan, your buddies 7. We won't go there. Florida 8, Texas 9, Notre Dame 10, Washington 11, the Ducks 12, Utah, Texas A&M, Auburn, Iowa State, UCF, which right now doesn't have a quarterback. Milton's hurt. The other guy broke his ankle, so we'll have to see what happens down there, but they're 17. Wisconsin, Penn State, Syracuse, Virginia, Michigan State, Florida, Nebraska, Oklahoma State. Then we go from 26 to 130. And I checked out where our area teams might be. Then I'll get to Marshall and Conference USA. As we mentioned, Ohio State was number 5. Kentucky, number 46. Stoops has done quite a job down there.
He really has, and that's a tough place to win. I mean, it's a tough place to win in football, and to do so the way he has is
especially
impressive.
The league they're in.
Yes, a very rugged league, and you're not only competing against all those teams in your league, you're competing against basketball in your own school.
That's right.
He's done a tremendous job at UK.
Now, how you Bobcats? Their coach is, 112? Frank Solis. They're checking in at number 61.
That's pretty good.
Bobcat, man. I think y'all had a story that day about Austin Pleasance, former Cold Grove player, I believe, guard.
Right.
He's doing quite a job up there.
Yes,
we'll see him week 3.
We will. He's a very good player out of Cold Grove.
And their quarterback is back this year now. I'm sure he loves having Mr. Pleasance up front blocking for him.
Absolutely.
And checking in at number 71. 71. Team up by 70 time. 79. West Virginia, 71. How the mighty have fallen.
Yes, they have, and that's probably true. And Neil Brown sounds like a guy who'll do well. A Larry Blakeney disciple. Larry Blakeney was a great coach at Troy.
Yeah, and they had the field named after him.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not going to turn him into a major bowl contender overnight. It takes some time.
And something else I'm sure Neil Brown's aware of. Their opening game. James Madison, you're thinking, okay, it's 1AA, FCS, whatever. Don't sell the Duke short.
Yeah,
they're going to have their hands full because they're going to think, what better time to catch a guy in transition than the opening game?
Exactly. What do you think? The people that bet on games love the opener because crazy things happen then, And then, you can't take James Madison for granted. They've been a very strong team in FBS. Have won a national championship down there before. You can't overlook those guys.
Now, the AAC, a lot of schools that used to be in Conference USA are in the AAC. We mentioned UCF's in the top 25. They're at 17. Cincinnati checks in at number 34.
We see them here.
They opened the season against UCLA at home. And another Marshall opponent, bring that up, the non-leaguers opponents, Boise State, number 29. Unfortunately, before they play Marshall, they got to play Florida State in Tallahassee.
Never an easy place to play.
But Boise State is just, remember at one point in time, them and Marshall were both 1AA days.
They were.
And now they had been there every year. Right. Marshall had a little dip every now and then, but Boise State's been rock solid.
They've been the premier former 1AA program moving up to 1A.
Yeah, I mean, and because every time a coaching job came open, Chris Peterson was but he never left until they figured out, well, maybe at Boise State we're going to win some games, but I never can have a chance to win a national title.
Right.
Washington have a better chance.
Right.
Although a lot of times they poo-poo on the big Pac-12, but going like they'll bring 6 teams out of the SEC to play for it because the Pac-12, whatever.
They do.
So then Conference USA. I looked at all of those. Unfortunately, almost half the field is number 100 or lower, which makes you go, you wonder why there's an image problem, so to speak. Number 1, ranked out of the league. FIU's at 59.
59.
Marshall and FIU in the finale and a noon kickoff. Could be for a lot of things that day.
Yeah, it certainly
So
could.
FIU, the highest ranked of Conference USA, their opener, Tulane, another former Marshall opponent from Conference USA who's now in the AAC. They play them. North Texas, 64. They're number 2 if going down the list. They're playing Abilene Christian in their opener.
Yeah, that should be a win.
Marshall is a spot below them, number 65. Okay. They play VMI. We remember the days when they had to have hands full with VMI, Southern Conference days.
Oh, most definitely.
Memorial Stadium, the drive over to Lexington. It was an easy trip, but they always had their hands full.
They did.
FAU, Mr. Kiffin, who won it year 1. Last year he got his comeuppance. They're the 4th highest at number 70. Guess where they start? In Columbus.
In Columbus, that's right.
They
do.
get the new coach against the Buckeyes. So Lane got his hands full.
Yes, he does.
La Tech, which comes here the weekend of the crash anniversary. That's on the 14th. They play on the Friday night, the 15th.
Right.
They get a breather in their opener at Texas. At Texas, which is Texas is getting some pub.
They're an improved ball club. Yes, they are.
So next came UAB. Not that long ago, they didn't even have football.
Right.
They dropped it. Now they're getting a new facility. They're picked at 84. I think they won. Nobody wanted to play them last year. They came out of nowhere.
Yes, they did.
Considering there's no team, they bring them back.
Yeah.
They stay the course.
That guy's got to win Coach of the Year last year. He got my vote. To going from no program to doing what they did, that was amazing.
And he might schedule them. They have Alabama State. Good starter.
That's a good starter.
Get some people there.
That's right.
Running out the lower half of Conference USA at number 7 there, Southern Miss.
Jay Hobson, our friend Tim Billings, is also coaching.
Well, that left side this year, Conference USA, Southern Miss, North Texas, UAB, La Tech. That's going to be a dogfight to win that West.
That is. That's a tough division.
I mean, Marshall's got it on their side with the 2 Florida schools and some things, but I mean, there's going to be, they're going to just eliminate each other as you go along. It's going to be whoever survives.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Survival.
That's right.
Then we get to the flip side, Middle Tennessee, the team Marshall probably doesn't like a lot right now.
Middle Tennessee.
Mr. Stockstill's the reason they didn't get to play in that extra game last year.
Yes, that's right.
But last time we looked, he graduated.
That's right.
No more 6 years, 8 years. Well, he's got his diploma. He's gone. They're in 88. Their opener against a team you don't like very much in the Big House.
No, they
go to Michigan.
Well, I'll be pulling for the Raiders that day.
When we get back from break, we'll go over the rest of the Conference USA, how they stand, because this is a group that starts at number 100 and drops down, so it makes the conference. I don't know, when you worry about ratings and stuff of that nature. So after this break, we get back, we'll go through the last 6 schools, some people that Marshall play, but it's not going to help your image. These are people you're supposed to beat. So once we get back from the break, we'll run it down Conference USA on Friday afternoon, The Drive. Paul Swann gave me the wheel. He gets it back Monday.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
It's The Drive, 94.1 FM, 930 AM, ladies and gentlemen. A Friday afternoon, a beautiful Friday afternoon in the Tri-State. Miller Lite Talk Line brought to you by Miller Lite Beer. 96 calories, tastes great. Best combination I can think of. If you want to be on the call-in show today, 877-428255. Our guest today, Tim Stevens, esteemed writer from the Herald-Dispatch. We are going through, Timmy, the 130, and we're at Conference USA. The top half, from here on out, they're all 100 or lower, which talk about a bad problem for image.
Yes, it is. You can't have teams down. Maybe one team down in there, but you can't
Western
have
Kentucky, 103.
Oh.
Talk about the mighty have fallen.
There's no excuse for that.
Jeff Brom said, thank God I'm out of here.
he knew when to leave.
They have Central Arkansas off the opener. Number 109. Old Dominion. Probably the shortest. We joke about road trips, Cold Grove to Ironton. The shortest road trip there will be the opening game for Old Dominion.
Playing Hampton?
No, close. Norfolk State. I think it's like 6 blocks. They have to leave at like 12:58 for a 1 o'clock kickoff. But they're rivals. They're playing at Old Dominion in their new stadium. I've looked at the pictures.
Yeah.
Old Foreman Field that I've been in many times is gone.
Right.
The new place, they can make it a little bit better. It's very sharp looking. They did a lot of it. Conference USA had to upgrade a little bit, but when Virginia Tech, and these people come in here, it's going to be impressive.
Yeah,
they're 109. Norfolk State, their opener, the rivals, 6 blocks, not very far to travel. It's easier to walk to that one instead of driving.
Yeah.
Number 117, Brad Lambert knows his team pretty well. Charlotte. He did quite a job last year, and first reward was you're unemployed.
Yes.
And he lands here, going to run the Marshall defense.
A great guy and a
while
terrific
Charlotte
coach.
pays his salary, which is fine.
You're right.
And they're going to play Gardner-Webb. It's not a doubleheader, but that's their opener. But Charlotte, and when they get on, that's the late in the schedule this year. When they play Brad, I'm sure there'll be a lot going back and forth there. They know each other. But that was a tough place to play. You're in Charlotte, pretty big, and he had them going pretty well. They knocked FAU to a losing record.
They did.
Their last game. And for that, they said, Brad, thank you very much, but there's the door.
That's hard to believe because he did a really good job down there. He started from scratch.
Did nothing.
Right, had nothing. Started from scratch. He got a bad deal there.
Yes. Now you think about the state of Texas, the people that recruit, the number of available recruits there. The last 3 teams from Conference USA in the top 130 all hail from the Longhorn State. I'm going like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah.
3 schools at the bottom.
Wow.
Number 118, Texas San Antonio.
Texas San Antonio, 118.
Yes.
Is there no football talent in San Antonio?
The state of Texas, really?
Yeah.
Their opening game is Incarnate Word.
Oh.
I haven't looked that up yet to make sure it really exists, or doubleheader, but that's who they play. But 2 years ago, that was a game that cost Marshall again. Mm-hmm. And then last year, Marshall got them here. But I just kept thinking, wait a minute, state of Texas, you got to find them. There's got to be somebody there in that big a state.
You would sure think so. I mean, they all can't go to Texas.
Texas Tech,
right.
Baylor.
Right.
Number 126, a team Marshall will play late in the season in Houston. Rice.
Well, Rice
did not win a game last year, and right now they ain't picked to do too well again, as you can tell. If you're 126, there's no sleeper. You just might fall asleep.
Well, expectations aren't real high there, so if they
and they
do
open
anything
up
at all.
at Army, another place you know, place you know well.
I have been there. Very impressive.
I think you were there that day that somebody got known for high hurdling.
I saw that. A Carolina Panther scout sat right beside me when Randy hurdled the Army defender. And the scout's jaw just dropped over. It nearly hit the floor. It looked like then he smiled and closed his notebook. He'd seen all that he needed to see of Randy Moss to know that he was a first-round talent.
And bringing up the bottom.
And
number 130, drum roll, UTEP.
UTEP. Oh,
can you believe that?
UTEP. Another Texas school.
They're playing another doubleheader that day, Houston Baptist, but I'm thinking not that long ago, and now you got three teams with Texas 18 or lower, and I'm going like, what's going on?
Wow.
Marshall Conference USA, that can't help. You're playing Rice when you think you should, okay, you got them, you got La Tech, but Judy McLeod's got to go. That's not going to help our conference rating with those people.
No, not at all. Maybe you have in your conference, you got one team down there, fine. Everybody has one lousy team. Every conference has somebody that's no good.
Everybody has a Vanderbilt.
Yeah, everybody has a Vanderbilt. There you go.
Although they've given Kentucky some problems of late.
They have. But you can't have a quarter of your league in the bottom 5.
Remember the old bottom 10 we used to look up?
Bottom 10, that's right. You have a quarter of Conference USA in this. That's not going to fly. That's probably Conference USA and the MAC. They're making up most of those teams down there. Yeah. Maybe a couple from the Sun Belt. But you just can't have that. One team, fine. Any more than that,
but half your league,
that kills you. It does.
Yeah. One thing Paul and I have talked a bit. I'm sorry. Sometimes you get accused of drinking the Kool-Aid. I have been guilty at times. But the Access Bowl, Marshall is never going to win national championship. Just they're not going to do it. But do well enough, like UCF has done the last couple of years. A MAC team not long ago did.
Northern Illinois. That's
the
right.
Access Bowl, one of the 6 spots. Now, I'm drinking Kool-Aid, but I'm thinking right now, with what Marshall has, picked to win the East. They got a quarterback. They got to find some receivers this year. They got running backs, defense. The pieces are there. The schedule's in their favor. I'm thinking winner, Boise, Marshall takes the lead, depending what UCLA does when they go to Cincinnati.
Right.
Because Cincinnati's going to be one of the favorites in the Access Bowl, AAC this year.
Right.
Boise's at 29, and usually the first head-to-head thing is tiebreakers head-to-head.
Right.
Well, game 4, Cincinnati comes here.
Exactly.
Marshall takes them down. That okay.
Right.
So
then
the league, and okay, you've got the AAC people. UCF's going to win it by a guilty association, whatever they're going to get their thing. Dana's getting a lot of ink at Houston. Cincinnati's supposed to be tough. I've seen Utah State. You can't roll Boise out. They've been there more than once.
They have.
Been there more than once. But do you think would you ever consider? I'm giving Marshall a shot at the Access Bowl.
They absolutely have a shot because if you, like you say, if you beat Boise, you take the lead in that. And then if you can beat Cincinnati, you hope Cincinnati beats UCLA. And then if you beat Cincinnati, you look real good. Then you look real good. And it comes down to, you and UCF. Essentially, somebody else might sneak in there, but it essentially comes down to you and UCF. UCF is scrambling to find a quarterback right now.
Right.
So I would like Marshall's chances there. You beat those two teams and you go undefeated in your league. Yeah, you have a chance to go to a bowl where you go make some real money.
You would get first shot at the picks.
You would.
And Doc has made the point of it. Okay, their non-league schedule. Ohio, you picked to win the MAC.
Right.
UCF. Ohio State. Ohio U's picked to win the MAC.
Right.
Cincy's picked to win the AAC will be right there, and Boise in the Mountain West.
Yes.
Although
that's
you've got a couple others there, but you're playing all the favorites.
Good non-conference schedule. That's a strong non-conference.
And two of the three have to come to Huntington.
Right. If it's ever set up for them to do it, this is the year.
Yeah. Now I'm sure Doc right now is going, the only thing we're worrying about is tomorrow or VMI, whatever. But I would think there's some talk out there. I'm guilty of it. I'm sorry. A lot of things have happened since the plane crash. I mean, Ohio State, we're sitting there. They need a 55-yard field goal to beat them. Mm-hmm. We're in Boise. We're in Idaho when they played for a national title for the first time. I remember us going, is this going to be a fluke or a long-term thing? Well, the answer to that was long-term.
Long-term.
So many good things have happened. Not that long ago, we pick up the paper or we go on the internet, and they're going to play Notre Dame.
Who would ever have thought
Touchdown
that?
Jesus. I've been there when they played Navy. Coach Lingle helped us get in that day. But
right.
Can you think about, I mean, I know Ohio State's nice, the big house, but Notre Dame, touchdown Jesus. Marshall's going to play there. So why not be in the running for AAC? Northern Illinois made it. Boise's been a few times.
Right.
If you beat them and you beat Cincinnati, you're making your case.
You really are a legitimate case for it. You can't stumble somewhere along the line and lose a game that you shouldn't. But if you win those two, you beat Boise and you beat Cincinnati, then you have a legitimate claim to the Access Bowl. You definitely do.
What do you think that'd be like? You get into mid-October or so, and you accomplish that. Because we've been joking. At the end of September, you can be anywhere from 4-0 to 1-3.
But
But if you're 4-0 and you go down and take care of Lane, you want to put the cart before the horse, but some things happen. You get in November, you're going like, and you watch the drawing show that comes on TV. One person I would want to meet dearly is Heather Dinich, and just think, what would it be like to have Marshall and talk in the conversation? It's UCF, and we always say, what's their schedule? If Alabama played the schedule they did, that's not their fault.
Right. Yeah, they can't help
You
that.
are who you are.
No,
and
exactly.
a lot of times, not long ago, the guy talked about Clemson on one of the shows, and he said, please tell me who Clemson plays in the ACC. Nobody. They have a walkover.
Right. But
they have a walkover.
That's the league
right
they're
now.
in.
Florida State is not what they were.
Right.
It's a walkover.
Right.
Sorry, that's just a fact, Jack.
It is.
They got to open up against Georgia Tech. They're one of the worst, supposedly. So, would it be hard to fathom? Wouldn't it be great?
Oh, well,
all the things we've got to write about all the years. All of a sudden, now we're throwing Access Bowl because you know what? That's $13 million.
$13 million buys a lot of volleyballs and golf clubs.
Timmy, thanks for being today here, buddy. Enjoyed it. Go back to your high school. Paul Swann will be back Monday. Access Bowl, here we come. Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mr. Sellard's helping me out. Paul Swann back here Monday behind the wheel. I will be a passenger in the car. So until Monday, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Take care.
WRVC Huntington, W227BS Huntington. This is your radio home for Pittsburgh Pirates baseball, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.